Welcome to Shop Talk by Elevated Stylists, a podcast for the thriving community of stylists and salon owners, where we discuss topics in business, wellness, mindset, and all things hair. Join us on this journey as we elevate together. Welcome, guys. We have a special guest. This episode is going to be so dope. I can't wait till you guys hear it. Today we're here with Nina Tulio, and we're so excited to have her on your show. And there's just so much to talk about, and we're just going to really get into it. And I think that one of the topics that we're afraid to talk about in this industry a lot of the times is money. And this topic's been swirling around a lot in our industry. I know a lot of people are talking about profit and revenue and money and pricing and are you profitable? And I feel like it's creating a little bit of fear in this industry because everyone's like, oh my God, am I profitable? Am I not? What am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? And I think, Nina, you're just such a bold, raw, real expert on this because of the experience that you've had in the industry. And we're so excited to have you. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I am so pumped. I was so looking forward to this conversation. So I'm ready to dive in.
Yeah, let's go for it. Tell us a little bit about your experience.
So my experience, I've been in the game for a long time. And I feel like every time I say 26 years, I'm like, oh my God, it went so fast. Like I remember my first year in cosmetology school, and that was back a ways because I went to Votech. So I've served in many facets of this business. So yes, I was a commissioned salon owner for 11 years. Yes, I was a hairstylist for 20 years, but I was also a district manager for about 5 or 6 years. And I worked for a company and I ran 8 of their salons and had 55 employees and 8 direct reports. And I was also a partner in opening salons in South Florida with the people that I worked with, my mentors. We opened up 5 salons in 1 year in Southern Florida. And so I've been through all of the things, and I'm very, very fortunate to have great mentors that, I shared a good 8 years of my life with. And now I get to pay it forward and pay, the experience that I've learned from them or their journey, and then creating my own experiences and mistakes along the past 26 years in my own journey. So it's been an amazing ride. And I feel like there's so much opportunity in this business. I sold my salon in 2016, and everybody always assumes that when people sell their salon, it's like doing horribly, like people are like, oh, you sold your salon. I remember getting a lot of heat from this in the beginning when I first sold it, like, oh, she must be doing really poorly in her business. And no, it's actually the opposite. Like when you have an opportunity to sell your salon and it's profiting and it's doing between a 17 and a 23% profit, that's the time you want to sell it because it's at its peak. And that's the reason why I sold it. And it was a 2-year process. It was a 2-year exit strategy. And my husband was looking for jobs outside of Pennsylvania, where we used to live, where we're from. And it just kind of all came together very well. And now I'm on my second career in this business, which is, working with and coaching salon owners and stylists. And I'm rolling in on year 6 in doing that. So it's been quite a ride, and I have loved every single moment of it.
I love that so much because we need these coaches in our industry. And you said that you've been doing it for 6 years. Like, I wish that we found you guys 6 years ago when we were looking for our coaches, because we had to go externally. We had to go to business coaches and financial coaches and life coaches. We didn't have anybody who was specifically for our industry, knowing, and had experienced it themselves. So I just think it's so amazing that we have these types of facilitators in our industry now that can help other salon owners or suite owners.
Yeah. And it's shifted a lot. I think that when I first started doing this, in early 2017, nobody wanted to hear what I had to say about business. Nobody wanted to hear about sales and increasing sales and profit margins and pricing and money story and all of the things. And, my business has changed and evolved over the last 6 years too, but it was very, very hard to get people to pay attention. And now since 2020 and since COVID happened, that really shifted everything, where people now are paying attention. They're craving information. They're craving information about understanding how to make a profit and how to read a profit and loss statement and how to understand their price per minute and price per hour, which I absolutely love. So I think, I'm still grinding it out over here. Don't get me wrong, but there is so much more opportunity. And there's so many more people that are talking about this, that it's now collectively become a thing. It's become something that people really want to learn more about, because the industry has shifted and moved in that direction.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like for a long time, it created a lot of fear and a lot of resistance. And like, I think that the story that people were telling themselves is like, I suck with money, or like, I'm not good at math. I remember you wrote, one of your reels was like,
yeah,
I actually like didn't make it in math and I sucked at math. Right. And it's like, I think these stories that we tell ourselves is what actually holds us back. And it's creating a lot of fear. Cause like salon owners, like we're hairstylists first before we become salon owners.
Sure. Yep.
Right? And then you have to have a paradigm shift. All of a sudden, shit, I have to know all these things that I didn't know. Right. And your accountant's not like the one that's going to help you. They're just there to like kind of do your bookkeeping and do your taxes. But the rest of it, like you really have to figure it out. And it's so amazing that like there are more teachings like this. Can you like elaborate a little bit more on like why price per minute and price per hour is so important? Because I think that there's so many different models out there that it could be a little bit confusing, at least for myself too. I feel like getting a little clarity on like the price per minute, the price per hour versus some of the other models that are out there.
Yeah, I think, look, I coach and teach to the space of, you have to know yourself and your business and what works best for you. I'm just going to be a guiding light and a coach and mentor to show you what can be great. And it may work for your business and it may not. There are many scales of pricing that work well for different types of people. And I think knowing your price per minute and your price per hour allows you to price services based on facts and not fear. The reason why we're nervous and we're fearful about it is because we don't know. It's like when you're learning how to do a haircut for the first time, like you're scared shitless to do that haircut when it's your first time. But after you've done it 4 or 5 times, it gets more comfortable. We lean more toward the creative side though, because we are creatives first, like you mentioned. And we kind of steer away from the numbers because it isn't something that we do every day. And it's not something that someone is teaching us every day. Now that we have that shift and we have people like me and other coaches that are really talking about this, it makes it easier for people to feel less fearful. So I think when you know your price per minute and your price per hour, it allows you to understand that if I go below this number, I'm losing money in my business. Right? Whether you decide to go hourly or you want to go a la carte package pricing, whatever you live for in your life, it's good to know that because it allows you to make decisions that are good for your business and not for anybody else's business. And when you know your price per minute, which is what I coach a lot to, and my teachings are based on price per minute, it's all fact-based because pricing is based on 5 things. It's based off of time, product, total business expenses, target profit, and hours worked. So there are other things that go into it, of course, and you have to know your market, do some market research and know your demographic, but that's how we price services. And when you have those facts, and then you have I have worksheets that I provide where you could plug in all of your numbers and it will do the work for you. You're like, oh my God, if I look at this price per minute, PPM, and I'm not at whatever, $1.21, we'll just use that as an example. If I'm not there, now I know I'm losing money, right? So I think it's just gaining knowledge and information and facts. So now when you feel like Karen wants you to discount, you're not going to, because you know that every single dollar counts in your business and now you have facts behind it. As you noticed, when I talked about the 5 things that go into pricing, one of the things that I didn't mention was your emotions, your feelings, and also your self-worth. So if any of you if you follow me on Instagram, I did a video about how we have to stop saying charge your worth, because worth is something very, very personal. And it's something that pertains to you on a very, very deep, deep level. A lot of us struggle with personal worth, right? And feeling worthy. So if we tie the 2 together and we say, okay, if I feel that I'm not worthy, then why am I going to charge XYZ, right? Like if somebody would have said to me, in my first few years of being in this industry, charge your worth, I would have been like, okay, my haircuts are $2 because I didn't believe in myself. Do you know what I mean? So we have to separate the words worth and price, and really swap out the word worth for value. Because when you think about value and what you provide behind the chair, value is something that you can, it's tangible, right? It's your talent, it's your skill set, it's your total guest experience, it's the way that you make people feel, it's your quality of work, right? Which is part of that guest experience. That doesn't have anything to do with self-worth at all. So years ago, I stopped saying charge your worth because it just didn't sit well with me, because I'm thinking like, this is so much deeper. Like self-worth is so much deeper, and it doesn't have anything to do with the way that you price services and the way that you're charging people. So I'd love to kind of keep that going, where people are not thinking so personally and so feeling based, and thinking more about the value that they can provide to their clients.
I love that. I love when I had that in my mind. I'm like, I feel like she's going to say value. I feel like she's going to say value, because I love that you made that distinction, because self-worth is something really personal, and it is so deeply rooted to an origin story that most of us don't even have access to.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even know where our unworthiness is coming from. We don't even know why we feel like that. We don't even know how we can even get out of that like lack of self-worth. It's so much deeper than what meets the eye. So I'm so happy that you mentioned that, and to switch that to value is so important, because we do so many things behind the chair that are tangible but also aren't tangible, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the way that you make your client feel, like
Mm-hmm.
the conversations that you have. I'm sure you all feel like therapists at one point or another throughout your appointments with people. And even like the things that is valuable when you go to a salon, right? The experience that they give you, the how they look after you, that doesn't have anything to do with their worth. It's their value proposition. It's what they're putting behind the price.
Mm-hmm.
That's really important. And I think that I love that you mentioned that. And yeah, let's keep that language like really almost kind of clean, like let's clean up our language and be intentional with how we're sending these messages out to people, because not everyone's able to discern between self-worth and value, right?
Sure. It's very blurred. It's been blurred for a very, very long time. And that's why a lot of us are discounting constantly. And we are feeling like we have to give services away for free, and we have to, meet the client where they are. The difference is when you know the value that you provide, you stand true in your standard, and the clients meet you where you are. There's a difference, right? They rise to your level. You don't come down to what they're asking. And so I think that it's changing. And I think, with the charge your worth, it's definitely shifting. And I think that should we continuously work on our personal self-worth? Absolutely, because that is going to give us more confidence as we approach situations behind the chair. But it doesn't have to be intertwined when it comes to pricing and the way that you're servicing your clients.
Yeah, I love that. Such a great comment. I know we were talking about earlier about, it's all fine and dandy when you see all these fun, amazing things happen in the salon, but a lot of people don't see the struggle that happens behind a salon and behind even being an independent stylist. I'm not an independent stylist. I never was. So I don't know the struggles of being an independent stylist, but I definitely know the struggles of being a salon owner. And I know that so I'd love for you to share and like shed some light on some of the struggles that you've experienced that have brought you to where you are today.
Where the hell should I start? I mean, there's been so many mistakes that I made in my business. I mean, I think that, I almost closed my business twice within the first 4 years, almost coming into my fifth year. I had a turning point in my latter part of my fifth year. But the first 4 years of my business was a shit show. I mean, from almost closing twice to going $90,000 in debt, and this is all my fault, and I take accountability for that. And that's the reason why I was able to change it. But, I was down to $800 my first year in business. I had $800 left in my bank account, and I had an employee that always came first. I had to pay her. And I was like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? Like, how am I going to pay her? Where's my payroll going to come from? And I didn't have a lot of money in savings. So that was just a scary, scary time for me. And, I think probably one of the worst things was I ended up getting in debt with the IRS, and that was tough because they were sending me like, certified letters, and it's just like a sick feeling in your stomach. And this is coming from a person who always had a very, very high credit score. So when I got into $90,000 in debt and I started making poor choices when it came to money and finance and marketing and how I was spending my money, the IRS was just compounded it. But probably worse than that was when I had creditors calling me because I had all of this debt. Obviously I couldn't, and I was broke. So I had debt and I was broke, like massively broke. And that wasn't the first time I was broke. I've been broke before. And I had creditors calling, threatening to take out my salon furniture. It actually makes me emotional even to this point. And I'm talking that we're going probably 11, 12 years back. But that money shit, like that stuff, it sits within you. And I've been in therapy since I'm 21 years old. I've been working on a lot of things, but that still gets me a little bit, because it's kind of like, I built all of this. How are you going to come in and take my furniture? But then the other side of me is like, you did this. Like you did this, and I think the only reason that my business changed moving forward, because after year 5, my business grew 20 to 30% year over year, was because I did take accountability. I took a step back and I said, how did you get here? First of all, why are you making these poor financial decisions? It had a lot to do with my core money story, which I had to work on. And what can I do differently? Because I know that I'm a good leader and I know that I deeply care for people and I want them to do well. I didn't want to disappoint my team. That was the driving force behind all of this, to stay open, to continue to do this. So I sold my home to keep my business, and that was my choice. And that's kind of what kept me afloat. And I sold my home and moved into a 1-bedroom apartment, and I had to own my shit. And I had to say, well, you got here, so now you got to clean it up. And you have team members that are relying on you to show up. Don't disappoint them. Like, yes, this is your goal and your dream, but this is their dream too. And so it just gets me, because if I think about my team, which I'm still incredibly close with to this day, I was very transparent about what was going on in my salon. They stuck with me, and they trusted me. And even at my darkest times, it was like, they were still there. And that made me push even more. Like I had to do it for them, And so when people see all of the stuff that's happening and, maybe they look at me and think that there is success behind what I've done. And everybody has their own definition of what success means, but there's been a lot of mountains that I've had to climb to get to that point. And even in this business, for the first 2 years, I couldn't even get people to buy tickets to come and see an event that I was hosting. Nobody wanted to pay attention to what I had to share when it came to business. And there were dark moments where I was like, I quit. Like, this sucks. Like, nobody cares. And I'm not reaching people. And my husband, I always, I take into account what he said to me one day. And he said it to me many times because I've had many breakdowns over the past 6 years. But he's like, look at me. This is the time when 99% of the people quit. This moment right here, you don't quit. You're the 1%. Keep doing your thing. Keep showing up in your authentic way. Keep sharing your story. And I was like, you're right. I'm not going to quit because I've been through some shit. And so if I can get through the $90,000 of debt and selling my home and all the things in my business and people threatening me and the IRS sending letters, like I can get through this. Like there's a deeper grit in there that you kind of have to reach for. So if you're on the other end of this and you're feeling that moment where you're ready to break, where you're ready to quit, I promise you, on the other side of that is your power, is your greatness, is your dream, is your success. Because that means that we're being pushed. It means that we're being pushed toward greatness, and we just have to hang on just a little bit longer. And you are the 1%. You are that 1%. So keep pushing through. So yeah, there's been a lot of shit. So I just unpacked it all. There you go. There you have it.
Love it. I love it. You know what? It's like, I feel like there's like a lot of people don't see the struggles that salon owners go through because they think that owning a salon, you become rich instantly, and that you're living on a pile of money while your staff is working. But there's so much shit that goes on in owning a salon. And also as an independent stylist, I'm sure people know when they become independents, they
Sure.
are their own salon, you know, they are their
Mhm.
own salon. Yeah, they're not managing a team, but they have a lot of the same things that happens in a salon finances, in a salon environment. So I just think it's so nice that we're able to share those stories and just be real with it. And so that people can really understand that, hey, it's not all rainbows and unicorns. There are some rainbows and unicorns, but there's not always rainbows and
Sure.
unicorns. A lot of dark clouds up there.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have to pave your way, something that you and I were chatting about before is that your passion for business, your passion for people, your passion for yourself and your dream has to supersede any fear that comes through it. And so it's that passion that gets us through, and that determination that really pushes us through in those darkest times. And listen, I don't know anyone that is living their desired success without having dark moments and making a shit ton of mistakes and really even going through financial issues. I know it's a tough subject and people don't really like to talk about it, but I do. I want to share it. And I'm older. I've been in this for a while. I'm in my 40s. Like, I feel settled. I feel confident enough to talk about it, And so I think that with that and the experience that I've had and with the mistakes, like, why wouldn't I want to share that? If I could help people not go through the 90,000, not even the $15,000 of debt, to not have the IRS send letters, to not have, creditors threaten to take your car or your furniture. They threatened to take my car too. I was like, I'm paying that shit. I'm on time with the car. You are not taking the car. Like, I put my foot down on that one. But like, people will test you, and I feel like it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to fail. It's actually part of the journey. It sucks at the time, but it really builds your strength and character. And we kind of have to hold on to those moments.
We learn from our failures. Like, that's the only way that we learn, is by going through something and not succeeding, so that we can see where we went wrong and fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that as a society, we're so worried and so scared to fail, and so scared what everybody's going to think externally. And, what are we going to tell ourselves? What kind of worth are we putting on ourselves if we fail? And I think, like, just having that mindset shift of failure is a good thing. Like, it is the only thing that is going to teach us how to move forward, how to pivot, how to have that flexibility. Because, like, Sonia and I can totally relate with your story. We were like at that point too, where we were like, we're going to sell the salon. Like, we're done with this. Like, it's too much. It's too much responsibility. We have no clue what we're doing, and it's just, it's crazy the amount of work that goes into it. You just did a reel where it was like talking about the other half of the commission. Like, where's the other half of the commission going? And I think that is such an amazing thing to talk about, because I think a lot of stylists do think, where's that other 60% going? Where's all that money going? So can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it would be great if salon owners were keeping 50% or 60% of their income, everybody would be a salon owner, right? I mean, we would have people lining up to be salon owners. That's not the case, unfortunately. In the United States, salon owners, commission salon owners, or salon owners in general, only make about an 8 to an 8.5% profit. 8.5% profit. That means that at least 92% of their revenue is being expensed. And so typically 50% of revenue coming in is going directly out the door to payroll. I coach and teach to having less than a 50% payroll, right? You have to do that in order to make a profit. I coach to working toward a 20% profit, not an 8% profit. So that's half of it. So if you're bringing in 200 grand, 100 grand typically is going already out the door for payroll. And then you have taxes, and then you have other taxes, that you're paying for, not just payroll tax. And then you have your product cost, which can, I coach to 6%, but I've seen it up to 10, 15, 20% product cost, when people are ordering in terms of what their monthly orders are. You have so many expenses, all of the utilities, the software, your light bill, your oil bill, of course, all of the extras that are going along, marketing and advertising. And there's so much that goes into it that it would be so great if owners could keep that. But at the end of the day, if they're making that 8 to 8% profit, they're lucky. That's the average. Do I know people that are making more? Absolutely. Do I know people that are making less? Sadly, yes, I do. So there's just so much cost that goes into it. And, the other side of it too, is we have to think of this way, is that when a salon owner takes on that role, you have to know going into it that you're going to be paying out a lot of money. You're not getting into it to make a 50% profit. That's not how it works in the commission land. But also someone took a leap of faith on their dream of being a salon owner. And a lot of it is fueled by passion and really wanting to help and serve other people. And it isn't about the money. It's helping and serving other people. And that goes with your team too. It's not just about serving your clients. You have to learn how to lead from a servant's heart with your team and to your team, right? Because there's been a lot of shifts that have happened in the industry lately over the past 2 or 3 years. And stylists are wanting different things. And one of those things that they want is strong leadership. And if you're not feeling good and confident within yourself and your leadership style, you're going to have a hard time holding on to stylists. They want to be coached. They want to be led. They want to be guided and nurtured, and they should be. That's the role of being a leader, So I think there's a lot of components to it, but there is a lot of expense that comes with having a salon, period.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that.
Absolutely. And I love getting into if you're going to open a salon, get into it for the right reasons. Know that it's not just something that because I think when we opened our salon, I was like, I want to make my own decisions. I don't want to be yelled at by my bosses anymore. I want, to create this space where people can come and feel included and supported and this and that. And, to hang on to that why it's hard, because then life happens and stress happens and bills come in and your why kind of drifts away and you're only focused on money and why you're not making it. And I think that we lose our why. And it is when we take on that responsibility to hire others, we have to be that strong leader, because that's what they're looking for. That's what you sign up for. When you open a salon, you got to know that you're signing up to help people, to share what you've experienced.
Whew, absolutely. Oh my goodness. Yes. 1,000,000%.
Yeah. And one of the things you also talk about too, which I really love is, which I don't think a lot of people talk about either, is compassion and empathy. I think it's you talked about how you switched up. I know that, you said that you went from being in debt to being, 20% in profit. And one of the things you shared was that you changed your values and how you were showing up for your customers and your marketing and leading with compassion and empathy. I'd love for you to dive a little bit deeper into that, because we did something like that a few years ago that honestly, it flipped our business in the best way direction. And it wasn't something that we ever expected it to happen. I was like, compassion, empathy. What do you mean? That's going to make me more money. That's going to bring in more customers. That's what's going to bring me the team that I always wanted. And we hold on so tight to that. And it's something that drives our entire business. And I'd love for you to give us your perspective on it.
I just live in that space. It's part of my DNA. It's who I am as a person. So it wasn't that I didn't lean into it before, but I didn't know how to outwardly express it or share it or market it or have it be a part of my marketing and my brand. I think that's where I went wrong, because I really didn't have a brand the first, 4 years I had a business. I had to do some recalibrating. But that's what we need, especially now, right? I shared a while back a post that said, salon owner, hairstylist, human. We're all human. And as a salon owner, you have to understand that your stylist, your receptionist assistants, they're human. They're all going through something. We have to understand how to coach and mentor them in a way where they understand and they feel supported and seen. And for hairstylists, you also have to understand that your salon owner is human, and they are also going through things and trying to do their best to keep the salon open. We're all human. And I think if we can really get down to it and understand that we have to be respectful toward each other and everyone has a role, and we just treat each other with compassion and love and empathy, for sure. The best leaders live in the space of huge empathy. Your business will change. And I'm so glad to hear that your business changed, because it's just really living in your authenticity. You can't really fake it. That's the thing. You can't fake being empathetic. You can't fake being compassionate, because people sense it. It has to come from your soul. And that's why this business is the coolest, because I believe that we are an industry of deep, caring humans. We are an industry of people who really want to be compassionate toward others because we serve them. We just have to tap into it a little bit deeper sometimes, because we forget. We're just used to doing all of the things and showing up the way that we think people want us to, that we forget to be us. And so the best thing that you can do for your clients, the best thing you could do for your team and your business is be you. Live in your authentic truth and show up as you are. Yes, you have to have systems. Yes, to have compensation structure and package and all of those things in place too. But if you show up in an authentic way, I believe that that's why my team stuck it out with me, was because I was transparent. And this is it. I mean, I think if you'd asked them when they worked with me in 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, all the way to 16, when I sold, I'm the same person I was and the same person I am now. Like, I haven't changed, just got a little older and some more Botox. You know what I mean? So I think that that's the best gift that you can give your people, is just to be you and stop trying to be everyone else,
Yeah. And that's just such another topic, I would say, to be you, right? Because it's like, it goes down to the same conversation about self-worth. And that's something that we all need to unpack within ourselves. It's like, who am I and what do I want to bring forward, right? And so when Jody and I did that big transformation, when we had our coach, he really got us to go deep into like, what kind of leader did we want to be? How are we going to show up for these people? First of all, how are you going to show up for yourself? And what are the things that are valuable to you? And I think that one thing that we forget, and I talk about this a lot, is how our businesses is a reflection of how we are. How we're treating ourselves is how we treat our business. How we support ourselves is how we support our business. How we lead ourselves is how we lead our business. And that was something that I wasn't even thinking about until I was thinking about it, until I was shown. And I was like, wow, this whole internal world needs to come out. And it's like such a big reflection of what's happening that we need to get a big grip on it. And we need to understand how to work with it. And I love that that message is going around, and that more and more leaders, because I don't know about you, but like, I feel like salon owners have like a bad rep of like being like dramatic or crazy or controlling or bossy. And I think that we're lucky in this day and age in social media and the stuff that's going around, that story is starting to really shift. And I'm happy to see that. I'm really happy to see that salon owners are no longer like Grinches or like people that people are afraid of, it's people that they're looking up to. And I love that that's shifting, because it makes me want to like step into it more.
Sure. Absolutely. And I think the shift part of it too is that salon owners are really stepping up and looking at themselves as leaders. It all starts with us. It starts with us as leaders. And so we set the tone in every single way. And so in terms of like getting a bad rap and all of the things, there's been some things that have been going on in our industry from salon owners that hasn't been great. There have been things that have been going on with hairstylists that haven't been great. Right. But there is a sense of responsibility when you open a business and you bring people in, that you're going to lead them, that you're going to be the leader. So you have to take ownership of that. And the good thing is, the shift that we're having is that salon owners are like stepping more so into their own power and into their own leadership style, and really understanding how the both come together. They have to come together. If you don't feel good about you, you're not going to feel good about the way you lead. If you don't think highly of yourself, you're not going to think highly of the way that you lead your team. You have to meld the two together. So I love that you're sharing that. And I love that we're seeing that shift, because it's time, it's really time. And I think it's just, people just need to come together. I think if we understood each other more and where we're coming from, I think we have the same result, but sometimes the way that things are being worded or shared, it's not hitting well. It's not landing. It's not hitting well. It's not landing well. So I think that's shifting and changing. And I love to see that.
I also think that there's like an understanding that needs to happen, because we can say compassion, we can say empathy, but some people have no clue what either of those are. Sure. Or they have a thought of how they are, but don't really understand it. So I really think that like diving deep and getting to know and being curious about what that looks like. What does compassion look like for you? What does empathy feel like for you? And I know that I had no clue what those were until I started on my mindfulness journey. Like I took a mindfulness class and really started to understand what those things felt like for myself, and then how I can externally give that to other people as well. And it has helped me so much with communication, with the way I react to things. Having compassion really, really helps you to sort through all of that, so that you're not living in stress and reactiveness and all that sort of stuff. So I know that a lot of different, healing, wellness, education, business tools, business words that are being thrown out there. Like if you don't understand completely what it means, like be curious, go and learn what it looks like for you, and then kind of do some self-reflection.
I love that. Truth.
Ooh,
Truth.
Yeah. Self-discovery and self-investigation is like one of the most important things that we love talking about. And I know that that's where it starts. It starts with the investigation part. It's like, get curious, investigate, discover, and see where that leads you. We love to end the episode with a truth bomb, a real tea, we call it. So whether it's a truth or a tip or a takeaway, I know that there's been tons already, and like I could pick out like 5 off the top of my head, but if there's something that you would leave us with, kind of like drop the mic moment, I know you got lots of those.
I know, I'm thinking which direction I want to go, because there's so many things that I would want to say, but I think kind of going back to being the best gift that you can give to your clients and to your team is to be you and live in that authenticity. I think the best gift that you can give to yourself is to start uncovering that, working on that, asking for help. Some of the people that have been doing the best in their salon, they have people helping them. And I'm not talking about just business coaches, and not even just me, other coaches too. But they are doing the work on themselves, and whatever that looks like for you and whatever that journey looks like for you. But when you start to feel confident within self, you'll start to feel more confident in the way that you run your business. So don't be afraid to ask for help. There is never ever a silly question. If you're not good with math, it's okay. Like I shared before on my Instagram that I almost didn't graduate high school, and I didn't get algebra 1 until I was a senior in high school, and I had a 59, and I was like, please let me get extra credit so I could graduate before my mom kills me. I think it's okay to know that like you don't have to be great at everything, but start discovering you and what makes you happy and what makes you fulfilled. Start to serve yourself. Then you can serve others in a way that you maybe could never imagine. So that would be my little tip for the end.
I love that.
Love it.
Yeah, that is drop the mic moment. I love that, because it's just, now you guys are left to go discover yourself.
Yes.
And investigate and understand what it is you want to bring to this, like not just the salon world. I think that we're lucky to be in the salon industry. Really, it's freaking unique. But I think that we're just special humans who want to be in the hair industry. You have to be a special human to want to be behind that chair, to serve people and be in that creative space. So this is your invitation to go discover and investigate what brings you joy and what really lights you up, because nobody does this just because.
Very true. Yes. So get out there and discover, and take time for you. You know, make sure that you're taking time for yourself, continue to serve yourself so you can continue to serve others.
I love that. I love
Amen.
that. Amen. What a great conversation. Thank you so much for your time. It's been such a fun chat. We're definitely going to have you back on this podcast, talk about more things, all the things. And yeah, stay tuned for more. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into this episode. If you love what you're hearing and want to connect deeper, we invite you to join our membership program on elevatedstylist.com/membership.